In this episode, we're going to talk story about Thanksgiving.
What?
Which is translated as Thanksgiving. You know, from Hawaii.
I'm Sienna.
And I'm Toast.
We're partners in love, life, and music. And we've been together since 2001.
With each episode of this podcast, our goal is to help our fellow LGBT community members lift their lives to the next level.
That was so pigeon.
This is my episode
To cut loose.
to talk pigeon. So maybe in this episode, I can talk pigeon a little bit.
Okay. Well, you will make some
Small
people
kind.
happy and you will make some others confused.
Yeah.
But I will say that now that our previous podcast episodes are available across all platforms, including iTunes, I did hear some of our other Thanksgiving episodes, and we sound way more pigeon. A lot has happened
We've changed.
in these years. Yeah, and it's not like I, want to lose it, but I was pretty surprised. Like that came off
Wow.
very quickly.
Very interesting.
So it's nice, Toast, that I think you're bringing the pigeon back.
Well, thanks.
And I think it's just one of those things that come back depending on who you're around, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
When I talk on the phone with my dad,
I know, I
who
hear
is
you.
back in Hawaii. Oh, the pigeon come out, brah. Oh my God.
Okay, why don't you explain what that is for people who don't know much about Hawaii and or don't know much about Pidgin English?
So the population of Hawaii is comprised of people from many different people groups because back in, I guess it was the 1800s, when the sugar plantations became a thing, they needed laborers. So who were the laborers? Well, Japanese people, I think Chinese people, Portuguese people were brought in to be the luna or the boss on the plantations. We also had Filipino people. So all these different groups did not have English as a common language, but Hawaii was colonized by the British. So English was the main language and everybody needed to find a way to communicate. So all of these different languages, including Hawaiian, got mashed up together into a pidgin or a Creole, a mixed language. And it survives to this day as what's known as Pidgin English.
You're so cute because
I'm such a dork, right?
You just love to teach. Like you just rose to the occasion when I said, hey, tell everyone about, and you're right there. That was great.
I have the broad concept.
That was great.
For you.
It's kind of like how they say Tagalog and English, Taglish.
Or Spanglish.
Or
for Spanish and
Spanglish.
English.
Yes.
Yeah. But in Hawaii,
Okay.
it's all kind languages, all mixed up. So you have, in Pidgin English, you'll have Japanese words, Hawaiian words, right? All mix up.
Oh my God, this brings up a memory I have in college
Okay.
where I was a freshman in college, and in one of my classes, I don't remember the assignment exactly, but one of the students brought up this sign that said, no pigeon.
Okay. A
Okay.
sign.
Yeah, a sign.
Like a
can't
cardboard
remember.
sign.
Yeah, because we had some assignment about something about like what would help to make.
To improve education.
Yes. It was just. I honestly can't remember, but it was something to that effect.
Okay.
But what I do remember is that this fellow classmate, her sign said "No pigeon." Okay, so we're going through the class, and
Was pigeon spelled correctly?
yes.
Okay. Well, let's explain, because even though pigeon is a type of bird, the Pidgin English that we're talking about is not spelled
Right.
in that way. It's spelled
Right.
Pidgin.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
Because, so we're talking about all the different all of the different input from everyone. And then we're on the no pigeon sign. And we're almost done with class. And my poor classmate from Sweden is there going, he finally pipes up at the end of the class and says, I just don't understand about the pigeons in the class. I don't see pigeons in the classroom. What do you mean by the pigeons in the class?
Oh, no.
And the whole time he thought it was the bird, even though she spelled it differently. But I think it's phonetic, right? I mean, he's just thinking.
Sure.
He just heard
Sweden. Give him a break.
He just heard pigeon.
Right.
And he's seeing it spelled, but, you're not.
That's pretty funny.
Jonas. His name was Jonas.
Well,
And he was thoroughly
kind of like
confused.
Who can blame him? Well, I would be too.
He goes, I just don't understand about the bird.
Why it's even an issue whether
I don't see
pigeons
birds
should be allowed in
the
class. Oh my
Poor
gosh.
Jonas. I know. And then everyone laughed, and it was a nice release.
But but they weren't making fun of him.
No, not in a mean-spirited way. I mean, he could laugh too. He was just laughing like, oh, when it was explained to him, he was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Props. Well, props to him for having the courage at the end of all of this discussion to say that it just doesn't make sense to him.
All right. Anyways, we have a shout out. Hello.
How's it?
We're just so loose in this podcast. We're going out of order. Okay, so our shout out today goes to Vegan Dynamite. Vegan Dynamite.
On Instagram.
And she posted a story because in one of her stories, she had asked her followers, hey, ask any question. And someone had asked her, are you reading anything or listening to podcasts? And what she did was she posted a story, which was a screenshot of our podcast on iTunes.
Oh, wow.
And then she had little writings on it. And so her little writings on it goes as follows. I also really, really love Sienna and Toast. They do that personal growth thing in an authentic way, unlike the gimmicky self-help trend that everyone and their mama is doing nowadays. And what I really love about what she wrote is she had on the very bottom in parentheses, they also have a really cute kitten.
Oh, Bear, did you hear that?
So Vegan Dynamite also has another Instagram handle called Vegan Pet Sitter. And when we lived in California, she was one of pet sitters. One of
Bear's pet sitters? Okay, our cat is Bear.
Did I say one of pet sitters?
Yeah.
I heard that, but I heard it
so
late.
Loopy.
It came.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know, because we're batching, maybe. I don't know.
We're talking so much
I'm
today.
like at the end of
doing so many podcast episodes.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Anyway, so thank you, Vegan Dynamite.
I'm kind of tripping out on myself because I'm realizing that I feel like I'm kind of losing my pidgin English because I'm wanting to say stuff in pidgin and use pidgin words, but the words are not coming.
Oh, yeah, you're losing it then. I'm sorry.
Sad.
Don't be
That's sad.
You know what? But it'll come back when we go home.
I need to practice
because when you're there, then it's just like. Just comes. It's natural.
Where's my copy of Pidgin to the Max?
I don't know.
That would help if I could brush up on using Pidgin to the Max.
You know what? Why don't we do this? Why don't we continue with the episode? And as we go on, feel free to speak in Pidgin when it's just available.
Okay.
So you have the license and the freedom in this episode to flip-flop between.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to try.
All right. So in this episode, we're just talking about Thanksgiving. And in some recent they're not recent episodes, in some episodes way back when, but they're available on iTunes, you'll see we have several holiday Thanksgiving type episodes where we go more specifically into some vegan foods and things that we've eaten on Thanksgiving.
What a vegan eats for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So we in the past, we've talked about tofurkey. We've talked about a verkey, something we just made up, which is a veggie turkey. We talk about all different types of things like that. So feel free to go to some of the past episodes. Maybe we can link them.
Okay.
I will make a note here.
She's making eyes to me.
Like, link it.
Yeah, she's putting it on my list of things to link.
Link apps. Okay, so we will have some links if you want to hear more about that. But, Toast, why don't you talk a little bit about some of your Thanksgiving traditions? Because I don't think we ever really went into our own personal, way back when family traditions.
Yeah, okay, so it's kind of like this episode is a little Thanksgiving dinner conversation.
Yes.
For the podcast, our podcast listeners and
Yes.
stuff. Okay, so my memories, well, at my parents' house where we grew up, that's where all the extended family would come.
Okay, so your house was the designated Thanksgiving
That was the
house.
house, right? Everybody has
Yes.
a house.
Some people rotate,
in their
though.
family.
Some people rotate.
Yes, that's true.
But your
my
house
family
was the
did
house.
not rotate. So Thanksgiving and the days leading up, had to clean the house, vacuum, and all of that. And that was my chores growing up. Was vacuuming, dusting, cleaning the bathrooms. But you gotta make special, right, before everybody come over.
Yep.
So I did that, and then on the day of Thanksgiving, my dish that I would make was a dessert, and it was pull bread, and it was made in a pull bread, the opposite of push.
Oh, pull.
Yeah, but pidgin version is pull bread. Yeah. And it's made in a bundt pan. And how you make them is you go to store, you go down to the store and you buy the Pillsbury, the kind tubes that has biscuits inside, ready-made biscuits, and you pull the paper off, and then you pull the paper long enough, and the tube pop open.
Yep.
You remember that? Because I've heard, now I'm speaking English, I've heard that they're hard to find these days. I haven't looked for it. But anyway, okay.
Really?
So you get that. So you get those. You get a bunch of those. And all you do is you take one of those biscuits, the ready-made biscuits, and you dip them in melted butter. And then you dip them in sugar and cinnamon.
Oh.
And then you mash some chopped walnuts inside the biscuit. And then you throw the biscuit in the bundt pan.
Wait.
And then you keep doing that with all the biscuits until the bundt pan all full up. Okay, what?
Wait, but you chop up.
So you have to prepare. So before, in the assembling of the cake, you have to prepare 3 bowls. One little bowl has melted butter. The next bowl has a cinnamon and sugar mixture. And the third bowl has chopped walnuts. And all you do is you take each little biscuit and you butter, then cinnamon and sugar, then walnut, and then in the pan.
But when you put
fill
it
up
in
the pan, what?
But when you put it in the bundt pan, you're just putting it in that circle shape, and you're putting it on top of each other, or just side by side.
On top, you just pile them all up, pile them on big pile. Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
That's what I did. And then you bake them, and then
So you had to do that whole project by yourself?
No, Mom helped me.
Okay, yeah, that's an undertaking for a kid.
That was my dish.
Okay.
But then everybody that came over, right, like had grandma and grandpa and auntie Leiko and cousin Holly and Uncle Alan and everybody come over, and our family is of Japanese ancestry.
Okay.
So the older generation, they made stuff like sushi, the maki sushi roll. What that is it's not the sushi with the raw fish on top.
Yeah.
It's the roll with the black nori, the black seaweed all around, like a burrito, right? Like that. And cone sushi.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
And what
Did
else
they
we
make
have?
it, or they bought it?
Namasu.
Not that it matters.
I think they made it,
That's so incredible.
Yeah. That's just home cooking, Japanese style, right?
Yep.
But one of my favorites was not a Japanese food. It was made by one of the younger generation. Auntie Charlene would make German potato salad.
Oh, that's so good.
And back in those days, I ate bacon.
Right. I have not had
that.
I cannot even remember.
German potato salad, so good.
I know. We should do a vegan one.
Oh, with fake bacon?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. And the last thing I wanted to share about my memories in
Fakin.
Hawaii.
It's called fakin.
Is it?
Right?
It should. If it's not, it should be. Fakin.
I tried to remember the name. I think it's called fakin. Oh my goodness.
But my favorite was probably the pumpkin pie.
Yes.
That's my favorite kind of pie. Pumpkin pie.
I know that.
And I tell you, man, my dad's mom, my grandma,
She's the best.
made the best pumpkin pie.
Tell me
the
what constitutes
crust was awesome.
a best pumpkin pie.
Well, I love carbs.
All right.
So my favorite part was the crust.
Okay.
It was flaky,
Okay.
but still had a density to it, right?
Did it have a moment of saltiness?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Just the
I
right
love that
amount
in
of
a crust.
saltiness. She made it by hand. And I remember, she's from the generation where you don't really have a recipe.
Right.
You have to do it by feel.
Yeah.
So I remember when she taught my mom how to make this crust.
Yeah.
My mom thought it was kind of funny because her instructions about how the consistency that you're looking for in your dough for the crust is, you want it to feel like your earlobe.
Okay. Okay.
And the question was,
Whose earlobe?
and how old is this earlobe? Because the older you get, your earlobe's gonna have a different feel. Anyway, but yeah, that was one of the things. And I remember also being told that, grandma, she grew up in a different generation and a different time. And at that time, the Japanese immigrants, of which she was one, could only get jobs she was a maid. And she worked in the Haole house. So she worked for a white family.
So she
as
had
a
all the
maid.
recipes.
So that's how she learned how to cook white people food.
Oh.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Crust,
huh?
pumpkin pie was one of them.
So now let me ask, does your mom make a great pumpkin pie? Like, has she got that crust down, do you think?
I believe she
Or
does.
is it a little different still?
I believe she does. And unfortunately, you and I haven't been home for Thanksgiving in
Years.
and years. So I can't speak for the official Thanksgiving pumpkin pie. But, yeah. But I have tasted
Hers.
crusts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That sounds so good. Aren't you hungry now for pumpkin pie?
Pumpkin pie anytime.
Yeah.
I will do pumpkin pie anytime.
Yum, yum, yum.
How about you?
Well, okay. So I grew up, even though I am, well, you're more than Japanese too, now that we've both done 23andMe. But anyways, so you grew up with the Japanese traditions though. So I grew up with the Filipino traditions. So Thanksgiving, how the Thanksgiving spread for us, you had your turkey. This is interesting because I don't think we had mashed potatoes. I think we just had rice.
Oh yeah, gotta have rice. Yeah. Hawaii,
Rice is
gotta have rice
all the time, right? So
always have
we
rice.
had rice.
Yep.
I think we had. My uncle had his famous potato salad.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But no
Potato
mashed
mac?
potatoes.
Potato mac salad.
Nope. It's just potato salad. Okay. But he was haole.
Okay.
So
So that's why.
Yes. Yes. So then, let's see, what else did we have? So we had the gravy. Mm-hmm. Everything's made from scratch, the gravy. Mm-hmm. But we also had Chinese noodles. Mm-hmm. Okay, so my grandma would go downtown she would go to Chinatown. She would buy the freshly cut, freshly made noodles. Ooh. And just cook it at home. Oh. But she would cut all the vegetables by hand, which is very tedious. Mm-hmm. Because there's a ton of vegetables in fried noodles.
Right.
And they're just cut really
sideways.
fine.
And they're cut sideways.
Yep. All the green beans, the carrots, all of it. And she would have her special sauce with that. It's like this brown sauce that you toss the noodles in, fried noodles in. So she would make that. She would also do... so basically, Thanksgiving was at our house. So she did a lot of the cooking. And in Filipino tradition, there would also be... Okay, so Toast and I, we do not eat meat. But
well,
our culture...
Full disclosure.
Yeah.
I will say myself, not Sienna, I will eat occasionally fish or even bacon. Well, sometimes. Yeah. We don't keep those in the house. I don't buy them from the grocery store. But if we're out in a restaurant or a party, sometimes I will partake.
Okay, so let's get... let's
full transparency.
Let's give clarity to that whole situation. Because if people listen to back episodes where we were vegan, mm-hmm. they will hear that. And then, so let's give an update. Right. Because it's been many years since then.
Yes.
Right? So Toast just said... So she's primarily, I would say, vegetarian.
Yes.
Because you have not eaten red meat. You don't eat chicken. You don't eat any of that. Once in a great while, you'll have bacon just because...
It's bacon.
You can't help yourself.
Come on. Yeah.
And then you really enjoy fish, but you try not to eat a lot of it because of the mercury and because of the environment.
Right.
Right? So for me, I am more vegan, but I have gone back to vegetarian every now and then. I don't eat eggs. And I don't eat meat or bacon or chicken or anything like that,
or even milk or cheese
or milk. But I do eat cheese. Honey. Right. I do eat honey. Honey is supposed to be really good for the thyroid. So I have been bringing that back into my diet to help me heal my thyroid. But here's the thing. Like for me, and this could also be a whole other podcast. For me, I choose not to eat animal products because I just love animals. And it was really meeting a cow for the first time many, many years ago and having that really close connection with the cow that I realized, wow, they are just like cats. They really are, because they were trying to nudge me and like rub on me like a cat would, like to where I was knocked down. So I really made the connection, like, wow, they're just like my cat, and I wouldn't eat my cat. And so that's when I did that. But I have had some health challenges from being vegan. So for me, I do believe that some people do better on a non-vegan diet. I truly believe that. And so everyone just has to do what's right for them.
Right.
So... And I know, and I have been told that my body would be better on meat. But for me, I can't do that at this point. And I won't do that. So, okay. So that takes care of all of that stuff. So, but
back to Thanksgiving.
All of that to say that we were both Toast and I, whether it was Japanese or Filipino side or whatever it was, Hawaii is very much a heavy meat culture, food culture.
Like many cultures, but it's definitely a far cry from the Mediterranean type of diet, or a vegan diet. But so or even a Japanese diet. Like Filipino is way more meat heavy than Japanese. I guess that's true. Yeah. So your meatness wasn't necessarily from the Japanese side of the culture, right? It was from the American side. But the Hawaiian, like from pork, right? Like pork, kalua and pork kalua and all that stuff, right? Yeah. And loco. I know. So all of that to say that some of the other Filipino traditional foods that were on the Thanksgiving table, so hang on to yourselves because it's pretty gross. It's like pork blood.
which I have never eaten in my life, which is pretty shocking because I grew up with it, right? My grandma would make it from scratch. She would actually have to go to the butcher and get the blood in a container.
Old school.
Okay. So I know that sounds horrific. It horrifies me, but it's called dinuguan in the Filipino tradition, and that is a very common food, and people eat it over rice, and it's basically blood with pork, meat, and lemongrass in it. Oh my God. And also another dish which is made out of cow tongue. See, I don't know. This is not going to be a very appetizing.
This is like the Halloween episode for vegans. That's what this is.
But it's
just
basically
the Hawaii
a stew.
reality.
Yeah,
It's just ethnic
I know.
background.
So it's like basically a tomato-based stew with beef from a cow's tongue. So that. There was also another dish called guisantes, which means peas, and it was a pork and peas dish. So it was just heavy meat, but my involvement in all of it was I was charged with the lumpia. So lumpia in the Filipino tradition is like an egg roll, basically, but it has a lot of meat in the filling. So it has, I mean, I won't go totally, but it was one of my grandma's specialties, and the filling takes a while to make, and then it comes when you think you're done, you're not, because you have to roll all of them.
Very labor intensive.
So she actually trained me from like 4 years old to roll these things. So I was good at this. I could roll these things. So my job was to roll it. And then, so I rolled the lumpia. And then as far as desserts go, of course, yes, pie. I don't know if anyone made it from scratch, but we did have some desserts from scratch, like bibingka, Filipino desserts, like lots of different Filipino desserts from scratch. I don't know about if the pies were from scratch though. What we always had was a Filipino fruit salad dessert, which was made of various canned fruits without the juice, as well as some fresh cut fruit. But it also had pineapple gel in it, like these little pineapple gelatins, as well as these cocoa palm little nuts in there. But it was all tossed with heavy whipping cream. So it wasn't just like, it wasn't Cool Whip. It wasn't like just whipped cream out of a can. It was a heavy cream in a jar. I think it was called avocet.
Yes.
And you whipped it till it was whipped. And it was a lot. It was a lot of work. Then you tossed it. And that was really yummy. And it had lychee in it as well. It was so good. I love that dessert.
You know what I love is the combination. What I really am so appreciative about growing up in Hawaii for is that exposure and being just immersed in such a diverse culture.
Totally.
We have we're American, right?
Yeah.
You grew up, and I remember as a kid having not identity crisis, but really puzzling over what am I? Because
I did too.
You're American, and you have this pride in America, and you say the Pledge of Allegiance, right? And you sing Star Spangled Banner, but then there's such a strong identity as being from Hawaii, too.
Yes.
Right? You grew up surrounded by this. It's a mashup of the commercial tourist culture that takes pride in selling the dream of paradise and the world's vacation spot. This dream spot where people save up their entire lives to come and visit the islands and hospitality and all of that. And then there's also the Hawaii of the true Hawaii, the indigenous peoples.
Yes.
And the culture and the pride, the cultural pride that survives to this day, in part because of the commercialization of it.
Right.
To be honest. And the hula and the street names and the school names are Hawaiian language, from the Hawaiian language. And I'm so grateful for that. And then on top of that, you have but you're also Japanese. Or in your
Yeah,
case,
I mean,
you're
there's so
Filipino.
many-
So there's
so many different
yeah.
things. And I think, too, what some people don't realize is that growing up in Hawaii, if you don't, a lot of people who were born and raised in Hawaii don't have Hawaiian blood.
Right.
A lot of people
are not descendants of the indigenous people.
Right.
Yeah.
So people, when you say, oh, I was born and raised in Hawaii, they're saying, oh, you're Hawaiian. Well, I'm not
Depends what you
indigenous
mean.
Hawaiian.
It depends what you mean by Hawaiian.
But if you're saying I'm from Hawaii, and so therefore I am Hawaiian because I'm a person born and raised in Hawaii, then maybe I am.
Like a Californian is Californian.
Yes.
Or Oregonian is Oregonian. You're from the state.
But then if you are in Hawaii, there is very much a difference between someone who has Hawaiian blood and someone who doesn't, even if both were born and raised in Hawaii. Right. There is a distinction, a heavy distinction that is made. And as people who don't have Hawaiian blood, but were completely born and raised in Hawaii, you don't cross that line.
Of course not.
Right?
Right.
And I think people don't really understand that unless you're, and why would they, I guess, unless you're born and raised there. But anyways, why did we go, what were you saying? Oh, you were just proud of all the various cultures.
I'm so
that
appreciative
we were exposed to.
Of growing up in that culture.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I love that we grew up that way.
You know
and I was also going to mention about the Filipino foods being so meat heavy, and it's like you're eating blood and you're
Well,
eating...
I was not eating
Oh
blood.
yeah, you're not. You're eating a cow's tongue. I was just going to point out how, the Western sensibility is,
Yeah.
about that. But that's just that culture. And I have to say
it is.
that I appreciate and admire that indigenous cultures don't waste the sacrifice that
Right.
an animal made.
Yes.
For
Very true and
food
very good
and
point. Yes.
it's
all
like,
the way down to the blood of
Right.
the animal.
Right.
Yeah.
The tail, the ox tail.
Oh,
Yes.
my
We're going
gosh,
to make a
yes,
soup
that was
out of
another
that,
thing. Yeah.
Right? You don't waste.
But I was going to say, let me think of what I was going to say. Something about... What were you talking about? Okay, yeah. So you were talking about all the various traditions we're exposed to, like the Japanese food, the Filipino food, because I don't remember us having sushi at the table.
Because your family doesn't have Japanese, as much Japanese background as mine does.
I wasn't raised by the Japanese side, but I'm half Japanese. Right? So,
But I'm 97% or whatever it is Japanese.
But what I was going to say is that, so even though we have our specific foods, there are foods that we grew up with that I don't think are necessarily attributed to, this is Hawaiian, this is Filipino, this is, because you and I both know the blueberry Comstock cheese thing with the
what is
shortbread
that?
crust, and you make it in the giant rectangle pan,
The 9x13.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So
and
we
the
know
rainbow
that.
gel and the jello mold.
The rainbow jello, yep.
And the Jell-O mold.
The Jell-O mold and the rainbow ribbon jello,
Yes.
right? The little tiny...
In other words, we
So
do the
where's that
white
from?
thing too.
Is that white?
That's American, right?
Even the Comstock blueberry pie?
Maybe somebody will tell us.
I don't know. Anyways.
So funny because I always assumed that's what...
I mean, it sounds American, right?
It sounds white. Comstock, blueberry...
But I think that...
Blueberries. You don't have blueberries in Hawaii or...
Well, that's why you have to use the Comstock.
thing.
You have to use the canned blueberry, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was, you know what I think it was? Maybe it was just an American 1950s cookbook. Seriously.
Exactly.
Right?
Betty Crocker.
It was just,
That's right.
you know, when...
It was a way
when
to sell
women-
those cans of blueberries.
Yes. Anyways.
Asterisk. We have to put up a little sidebar and say we realize
What?
there's possible that we could be offending some people by using terms like white.
Yes.
But lighten up. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, because we're not offending. And you know what?
Ooh, lighten up. Maybe I shouldn't have used that choice of words. Okay.
You know what, though?
But seriously,
we
relax.
need to we need to have another podcast about the temperature of our culture and how our culture is changing. But anyways, okay, so let's kind of swerve back to the good feelings of Thanksgiving, because we've just kind of taken it to some scary things for vegans. We might be offending Caucasians. We might be offending Americans, even though we're Americans. So, but here's what
disaster of an episode for Thanksgiving.
Okay, well, here is what I wanted to say. So we are batching, and we're recording this quite a few weeks before Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. So Toast and I don't yet know what we're doing for Thanksgiving. We are in a new town. Normally, we are strays, and we go to other people's houses, but we also do some stuff for ourselves. My brother might be visiting. He's still deciding. He needs to hurry up. But I have to say that no matter what, we will be making a great vegan mashed potato. We will be making gluten-free stuffing from scratch. Now, should we make a pumpkin pie? Or should we buy one?
I think we should buy one.
Okay, let's buy one for the sure feeling
Yes.
that it will be great,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that. We've kind of been tired of the tofurkey, the verkey, the celebration roast.
Done
We've been
with that.
tired of all
Over.
of that.
Been there.
But sometimes you just want a moment of a taste of it. So what we might do is we might go to Veggie Grill, because Portland has Veggie Grill. It's just not as convenient as it was in California. And they do have a Thanksgiving feast that you can buy. But I think we should just buy the sandwich.
Oh.
They have a sandwich that
vegan
has
turkey
a vegan turkey
sandwich.
with the stuffing, and doesn't that sound so yummy?
I'm down. Yeah.
So we may be doing that, in case you're wondering. And again, pop into the other podcasts if you want to hear what we've done before. In the past, I've made some raw pumpkin pies, meaning raw food pumpkin pie. That sounds disgusting, really.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. But I know we're going kind of over because we went on some tangents, but we also wanted to just say that we are just so grateful to all of you.
That's our main Thanksgiving.
We appreciate all of
Message.
you. We actually appreciate all of you for showing up, for listening to the podcast. We appreciate all of you who felt called to become members of the Soul Care Collective. Thank you so much for that. But for Toast and I, it's really been a dream of ours to bring this podcast back in the way that we've done this year. It's also been a dream of ours to start a membership to help comfort people, to help people on their spiritual journeys in a consistent way. And so we are doing that. And so we want to just thank all of you for being a part of it by supporting this podcast, by choosing to be in the membership. And so thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We love all of you.
And from us to you, we just want to say that you are appreciated. We know that Thanksgiving is all about giving thanks and being the person that's grateful and thankful and appreciative.
Yes.
But we also want to remind you that people are appreciating and are grateful and are thankful for you.
So, in closing, from us, from Toast, from myself, from our sweet bear, and I know Angel Kumin is watching down on all of us, have a wonderful Thanksgiving and enjoy every bit of it.
All the food,
The fellowship, all your family, your friends, just the connectedness. And just keep the connection piece in mind if you're going to lose yours.
if you're going to lose yours. If you're going to lose your connection.
No, like if you're going to lose your mind, keep that connection piece in mind if you feel like you're going to lose your mind.
I get it now.
Because sometimes it can feel stressful, right? It's like,
Right.
oh, I have to bake the pie. I have to do this. I have to do that. And I'm going to see so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. So just take a deep breath.
And you get to do all those things.
You get to, and just enjoy it. Enjoy it.
And be safe. And with that, we'll leave you to your Thanksgiving. Until next time.
This is Sienna.
And this is Toast. Telling you, love life and live free, brother.